Hello. Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Jean. Hey, Meryl. Marilee. Oh, that's a pretty name. Hello, hello. Thank you for the hearts. Okay, we are live streaming. We are simulcasting. We are on all the platforms right now talking about the dating myths. And this is the F the Fairy Tale Challenge. So, first of all, I just want to give you a little overview of who I am. I know some of you have known me for years. Some of you are fans of the Dates and Mates podcast, which just launched season 11. Some of you may have seen my work on TV on the Drew Barrymore show or on Access Daily with Mario and Kit. Or maybe you've read some of what I've written in the LA Times or in the Washington Post. However you got here, I'm happy to see you. In fact, I would love to know how you got here. Where did you first find my work? How did you find out about the challenge? And how did you come to be here? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Let me know who's here. And hi, Pamela. Okay, we're not doing any live video requests. I don't know. I don't know if you're trying to join the live, but this is just our opportunity today to give you the overview of the F the Fairy Tale Challenge and the program. So I'd love to know how you got here. Go ahead and put it in the chat right now. You all are quiet today. Okay, B, thank you. I listened to your podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And do tell me, do you have a favorite guest? Wendy, hello. Wendy found out about this also from the podcast. Yay. Hi, Fallon. Hey, Scotty. All right. I'm so glad that you all are here. So if you are officially registered for this challenge, you will get an email after this with your workbook that shows how to implement everything that you've learned today. And that will also have recordings of we're doing this 4 days in a row at high noon Pacific Standard Time. So in case you miss any days or you want to go back and review anything, I highly encourage you to actually register for the challenge so that you get that email and you get all those resources. The email address, the URL to register is damonahoffman.com/challenge. I think my producer, Lindsay, who, by the way, produces the podcast every week, she's a superstar. And she helps shape the podcast, make everything work perfectly for you. So please, let's see, Lindsay, if you could just pop in the chat, damonahoffman.com/challenge, and that is perfect. Okay. All right. So we have a lot to cover today. Those of you who were here yesterday know that the F the Fairy Tale book, it's not out until January, but I'm giving you a little sneak peek, little highlights of what is in store for you. And I'm going to give you a couple of the tips so that you can try them out and really get a head start. Hey, Monica, thanks for joining. I'm so glad to see you. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to tell you about the dating myths. I'll give you an overview. We're on day 2. So I'm going to give you an overview of the second challenge or the second myth. And then I'm going to give you some tips on how to myth bust that dating myth. And of course, I will open the floor for questions, as I always do. And then I'll tell you about this great program that we have coming up at the end of the month. So if you want to continue the work that we start here, I'll let you know just how to do that. So let me give you first an overview of just what the myths are. This is kind of the focal point of the book and the tent pole that the entire concept is built on. So I found in my work of 17 plus years that there are these prevalent myths that seem to come up a lot in dating today. And we know, I don't have to tell you, dating is different than it was even 5 years ago, but certainly for our parents or our grandparents, or even from a lot of the time when a lot of the things that we've consumed since we were kids, fairy tales, rom-coms, it's not the same as it was then. But yet we have adopted we haven't adapted to this new way of making relationships and of communication, of of even connection, of how we make a match and how we connect with one another and how we communicate to one another. I'm talking to you right in here live on Instagram and on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. So, I don't have to be the one to tell you things have changed, right? And certainly as somebody who's worked with dating apps for now over 15 years, things have definitely shifted even in the dating app space. So, I want to give you the tools to be able to be successful in all of the areas of in all of the phases of a relationship. So the phases of the relationship I see are, first of all, the mindset. This is what I do with all of my clients when we begin a program. Mindset is the first piece, and that's what we worked on yesterday. Mindset is what sets you up for who you want to meet, how you are thinking about dating, how you show up. Mindset, the search, and that's what we're going to talk about today in day 2. And then the date, the actual date in the future. And that's how I support people through the entire dating process. So today we're going to talk about the search. And today we're going to talk about the biggest dating myth that complicates the dating search. And that dating myth is, I call it the rules myth. So the rules myth, some of you may know that book, The Rules, right? It's sort of based on this idea that dating is a game to be won. That there are a certain set of rules that if you follow them to a T, you win. You win at the game of love. And I don't look at it like that at all. But I know we are so hungry for a hack, right? We want to know if there's a shortcut, let me find it. If there's a way to simplify it, let me do it. If there's a formula, just give it to me. And while over the 15 plus years that I've been coaching, I can tell you there is, to some extent, a formula. It's so individual, and that's why I love working with people live in my programs, because I can see how this sort of the tools that I can give people help us overcome the rules. Does that make sense? Tools over rules. So I would rather that today we give you some tools that you can implement and apply to your life, because everybody's dating and relationship situation is different, right? So I'd rather give you the tools than tell you do X, Y, Z like a robot and then you'll meet your person. We all know it doesn't work like that. And I just want to be clear. I do talk about the rules in the book. I'm not trashing the rules. I think it had its place in time, and the rules I think came out 20 something years ago. So it had its place and it's had its moment. But I wrote F the Fairy Tale because I think we're in a new moment, and I want to help people really move forward from this place today. I've seen a couple requests for to join the live. I just want to let you know I'm just doing the broadcast today. So I'm not going to be bringing anybody into the session. But if you have questions, and I'm going to open it up for questions at the end, feel free to put that in the question box or put it in the chat. And a couple of my team members are here too. They will make sure that I see all of your questions. So let's get back to the rules myth and give you a challenge and some more tools that you can use to overcome the rules myth. I want to give you some signs that you may have been caught up in the rules myth before. So if you've ever said, and be honest, I know a lot of you have said a lot of these things because I hear them on Dates and Mates. Have you said, I never imagined I would meet my person online? Have you ever heard that? Have you ever said that? Have you ever said, he has to ask me out at first or I am not going? If he doesn't make the first move, it's not happening. Familiar? Have you ever said, I'm matching with people, but once I start texting, I lose interest? Have you said, I tried to get my approaches up, but it's not working? For those who don't recognize, that's PUA, or pickup artist speak. And by the way, they're still out here. The pickup artists are still out here doing the pickup artist thing. The problem is it doesn't work like it used to. And I want you to also know the signs if you are the victim of a pickup artist who's just looking for quick connections or looking at it like a game. the game. That's another pickup artist book. That's not what I'm about. I'm about authentic connection. So I want you to be able to spot it. So be honest. You can put it in the chat. Did any of those phrases sound familiar to you? Does anyone feel like they are dealing with this through they're dealing with the rules myth being something that has guided their dating lives in the past? And you are right. Adventures in Attunement, negging is not cool. Negging, for those who don't know, that's a pickup artist strategy. I do talk about it in the book. Look at you. You haven't even read the book yet. And you already know. You know what I'm going to say. Negging is when you kind of emotionally manipulate someone to fall for you because you put them down, or you try to make them have less self-confidence so that they'll be more open to an approach. We don't do that kind of stuff here. That is all falling under the rules myth. So we're going to be in search of tools over rules in the search. And this is actually something that I cover a lot in the third and fourth module of the Dates and Mates method. And the search really, it means it's a couple different things, right? It's how do we find the right people? And then how do we qualify people to be the right kind of match for us? So I'm going to tell you, actually, I'll start with a story about my client, Tasha. Tasha was a rules person. So she had all of these rules, like, I will not go out with him unless unless he like calls me or asks me to my face. If he texts me and asks me to go out, no. And I think we all know in today's world that's a very hard line to draw, because most people do communicate over text, right? And I could do a whole session just on that, but later in the Dates and Mates method. And then she had rules about, like, I have to wear this to a date. It has to be at this kind of place. She had a lot of rules and restrictions. And most importantly, she had a rule that she just didn't want to get married. That was just her, like, she just had decided that she didn't want to get married. And then she started working with me. And then we did some of the deeper work, some of the mindset work that we talked about yesterday in the first day of the challenge. And she also was able to really show up authentically on her dates. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow when we talk about the date phase. But really, it was through throwing away the rules and just learning to be open to the possibilities that were out there. Because sometimes we rely on these rules when ultimately we're afraid. We're afraid that if we do it our way, that it's not going to work, or that we're going to waste a lot of time, waste a lot of money, waste a lot of emotional energy on dating. And really, what I like to inspire people to do is to create their own dating plan, to drive their own dating destiny, but to just use the tools that I'm giving you to be able to do it in a way that's authentic to you, but that uses all of the tried and true methodology that I've developed, all of the stats that I've seen through working with OkCupid, all of the I'm out here. I'm such a dating nerd. Like, I'm reading all of the articles. I'm doing all of the deep dive work to see what's really working for people. How are we connecting? What's happening with the human and dating experience? So with Tasha, we did a lot of that work. Now, I got to tell you what happened. Tasha ended up getting engaged. So she is going to be married. The woman who said she would never be married realized that deep down, that was actually something that she did crave, and she had pushed it away because she didn't think it was possible for her. And through following these rules, she was actually keeping her heart caged. She was keeping herself in a box where she wasn't able to really go through the dating experience and really allow someone to even make a connection with her, because if it didn't fit into the rules and it didn't fit into this little box of how it was supposed to go and how it was supposed to be done, then it wasn't going to happen for her. But It's happening right now. So, um, I want to get you into the challenge portion now. And for those of you who are joining a little bit late, don't worry. We are recording all of this. We are simulcasting on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. I don't know why I said it like that. Twitter or X or whatever you wish. We are there. And then we're also recording this, and we're going to give you a digest of all of the highlights, all of the major points of this conversation, so that you can move ahead, you can go back and review. And also, I'll give you a workbook. Yay, thumbs up. Thank you for the smiles and the hearts. Um, I will also give you a workbook, and that workbook will help you implement what you've learned, because I know I try to give a lot to you guys. I want to give you so many tools, but it's hard to do everything at once, right? So I want to make sure that you have the scaffolding, that you have the ability to implement what you are taking in today. So let's talk about how to get clear around the rules and how to create a new plan for yourself. I see the inverse to the rules as really looking at searching by values and leading with your values in your search. So some of you who listen to Dates and Mates know about the 4 pillars of long-term compatibility. Each of these 4 dating myths correlates with one of the 4 pillars. And so the values myth is really the answer to the rules. The values pillar is the answer to the rules myth. And I ask, what would happen for you, like Tasha? What would happen if you, instead of following the rules or PUA, pickup artist techniques, just getting your reps in, just going through the motions? And I know there's a lot of people out here going through the motions and dating. You're meeting a lot of them, right? This is why we have that experience of like, I showed up and thought we had a connection, but it didn't move forward. Or, I didn't, they didn't even show up at all. A lot of people are sort of in this churn right now. And how do we instead choose where to meet someone mindfully, and choose how to show up in that authentic way, guided by our values? And there's so much of this that I cover in the Dates and Mates method, but I just want to focus in on one element of this today, because I hear a lot of frustration around online dating. Am I speaking to any of you right now? Is there a lot of frustration around online dating? Can I get an amen in the comments? I know it's frustrating. And I also know that it is very impactful. I know that, first of all, that's how I met my husband. I met my husband online. Thank you for the hearts. And I also have, I've been doing this for now like 17 years. Online dating, that's how most of my clients have met their match, because it has expanded the pool exponentially. And I could literally do an entire dissertation about that and how that has impacted the way that we date. But instead, I'd rather give you the tool, and I'd rather give you something actionable that you can focus on, because I think it's very easy to be frustrated about online dating. Right, Jewel? I see your comment. Yes. And I see all these hearts. So I know you're feeling it. But a lot of it is also in how you interact with the technology. It's how you use the dating app. It's how you present yourself and how you show up. So I'm going to give you a pop quiz right now. I'm very big into pop quizzes. Those of you who've done my programs before know I love a pop quiz. Here's your pop quiz. What is the most important element of your profile? What is the most important element of your dating profile? And some of you, I know, Adventures in Attunement, I know you already know the answer. I know many of you know the answer, but just go ahead and put it in the chat if you think you know what the most important element of your profile is. Pictures. Jewel, ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner. Online dating dinner. Hopefully they're paying, right? Photos, yes. Now, the funny thing about this, y'all, is that I have been coaching, as I said, for like over a decade. And I know I'm like sounding like a dinosaur when I keep saying that, but I've been in this space for a long time. I have actually been saying this, that pictures were the most important part of your profile since really the beginning. Even when it wasn't um the biggest part of your profile, because on a swipe based app, and there are four different kinds of apps, which you may not realize there's actually four different kinds of apps, which I will get into at a later date. If you want to take the Dates and Mates method program, I do a whole deep dive on the four types of dating apps. But now your photo is the lead. It is how people will interact with you. And if you don't have the right photos, then you're basically not even getting the interaction. If you don't have the right primary photo, you're not getting the interaction for sure. And I will be answering questions. Any question, it doesn't have to be about online dating, any question at all. If you want to put it in the chat or pop it into the Q&A function, if you're on Instagram right now, I will be answering questions in just a moment. But for your challenge, I want you to think about that primary photo. And actually, let's think about your photos in your profile as a whole. So some of you may have heard me talk about the three C's. The three C's: color. This is a review for some of you. Context and character. Color, context, character. I know I'm not. It sounds like I'm talking about a diamond, but no, I'm not. I'll try to get you the diamond, y'all. Color, context, and character. What that means: color. That is. Sometimes I'll say wear red. I've written articles about why certain celebrities often wear red or wear red at key pivotal moments in their career, because color it's strategic. It stands out. It stands out, and you're swiping along, and you will stop and pay attention, especially to the color red, which is associated with stop signs, with stoplights, with things that make you say stop. Look at me. So that is the first C. The second C is context. This is telling your story through your photos. And this is what you've probably noticed before when you were online, when you were on a dating app. You probably have seen, like, oh, I really feel like I understand this person through their profile, right? Like, I get the essence of who they are. And a lot of times we think, because of the rules, because of the other things that we have read and seen and taken in, we think there's one way to be. That if we look nice and we fit this mold, then we're going to get matches. And that is true to a certain extent, but I'm not in the volume matches business. I'm in the dialing in your profile, being really strategic to get you not just any matches, but the right matches. So that context piece is really important. And then the third one, that's the one that most people forget, and that's character. That's really showing your personality through your photos. So it's not having all pretty smiling photos. It's about really showing that you're not afraid to have a little sense of humor about yourself, or that you're not afraid to wear a Halloween costume or be a little goofy, or you're kind of a Trekkie, or you're kind of bookish, or whatever it is. Let's remember Belle got the beast. Okay. No, we're saying F the fairy tale. F that. So what I want you to do when you with this challenge today is to, not right now, after we finish this, I want you to look through your camera roll. And I want you to pick out photos based on the three C's. I want you to be looking for that color, that context, and character. And I do want to specify with color, and I talk about this a little bit in the book, F the Fairy Tale. With color, it doesn't have to be on your person. A lot of times people are like, oh, well, I don't really feel comfortable wearing red. Red's not my it's not my color. It's not on my color wheel, which we do kind of talk about how to find your right colors in the Dates and Mates method. But at its core, it's just strategic to get someone to stop and pay attention. So you could have color behind you. In the book, I talk about the Paul Smith wall in Los Angeles. I don't know if anybody knows this spot. They call it the selfie wall. It's a bright pink wall. It makes me so happy because I'm a pink enthusiast, in case you can't tell. I'm a pink enthusiast. I love pink. I love this wall because it's just a color that brings me joy and happiness. But if you go out to the selfie wall at any time, at any time before magic hour, before dusk. Ooh, yeah, we could talk about that later, the magic hour and the best time to take photos. But you'll see a bunch of people out there taking pictures because influencers have figured out that the selfie wall with its bright pink backdrop, it stands out. It gets clicks, it gets links, it gets looks, it gets noticed. So you can incorporate the color in many different ways. It just has to be bold and memorable. So that is your challenge for today. Right after we end this little video, this challenge, I want you to go through your camera roll and see where the pictures are that could achieve those 3 C's. And if you find that they are not in there, your assignment will be this weekend to go out with a friend, maybe go to the selfie wall, or maybe find another spot in your town and take some new pictures, because that in the search, it's all about the way that we are presenting ourselves. And we want to be authentic. We want to show our values, show how we spend our time, and show who we really are through those pictures. And if you've been doing it the rules myth way and you're not doing it strategically, that could be the key to unlocking success for you. So we're going to open up the floor for questions. I see I've already gotten a couple of questions in. By the way, if you like what we're doing here, there's so much more. I do my live program only twice a year, and the book comes out in January. So I actually can't promise that we're going to be able to do a live class this January. So if you've been waiting around and thinking, I would love to do a class with Damona, this is kind of your moment. This is it. So it's called the Dates and Mates Method, and it's a 3-month program where my team and I work with you live. And we do the kind of things that we were doing here, but we go on a deeper level. And we work with you directly, and we help you practice some of these skills. Because when else in life do you get to practice dating skills? Who is there to give you feedback on your dating profile and to look at your text messages and tell you how to decipher them, and to help you identify which photos are going to be best for that primary photo, and to help you parse through the 4 different types of dating apps to make sure you're on the right kind of app. So if you are interested in that journey, all of the information is at damonahoffman.com/program. And it's brand new and improved. There's more learning, there's more time, there's more live interaction built into this program than ever before. So I think producer Lindsay's popping that link in the chat right now, damonahoffman.com/program if you're interested. So I see the questions are populating. It's not too late to get your question in. And if you're signed up for the challenge already, you can also always submit me a question through that form to make sure it gets answered. So, is color important on a first meetup? I typically wear red or black when first meeting up. That is an awesome question, Jewel. I think red is great for a first impression. I'll actually be talking about the date tomorrow in day 3. So the date is really is that first impression is really, really important. So I just say, why not? Why not show up as your most with your putting your best foot forward? And I have this conversation a lot with my clients who are like, "Well, I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard." It's true, but you want to look like yourself, but kind of like the best version of yourself, because you don't want to look like you're trying too hard, but I mean, you do kind of want to look like you're trying. Because just imagine if the tables were turned and somebody else showed up on a first date with you and looked like they didn't care. Actually, I have a story in the book that you can read later about somebody that did that didn't want to go on a date, didn't want to go on another date with somebody because of what they were wearing. But in terms of color, I know we love the little black dress, don't we? But it doesn't always make a great impression. Now, ultimately, remember, we're talking about tools and not rules. Ultimately, the most important thing is that you are comfortable and that you're feeling your best self. But if I had to choose between wearing a black dress and wearing a red dress, or wearing something bold, and I talk in the book and in my program about conversation piece clothing, having wearing something that is going to make a great first impression, I say, why not stack the deck in your favor? That's a great question. Just FYI, hey, Evan Mark Katz is here, the one and only. So today we're doing kind of a little challenge and a it's like a mini class. So I'm not taking any I'm not bringing anybody else on with me to this live today, but put your questions in the chat and I can answer them here, and we can continue the discussion tomorrow too. Okay, Esther says, how do you determine whether something is a rule that needs to be thrown out versus something you hold onto for reasons of value goal alignment? For example, prioritizing dating someone who follows the same religion you do. Aya. Rhymes with papaya. All right. Thank you, Aya. Okay. This is kind of like a level 3 question. This is a kind of thing that we really parse out in the dates and mates method. I am never going to tell you, like, my first writing job was for JDate. You guys know the Jewish dating app? Yes, she's black and she's also Jewish. What? So I would get a lot of Jewish mothers that were like, my son needs to marry someone Jewish. And I found that a lot of times that wasn't their son's goal necessarily, but it was the goal of the mother. It was the goal of the legacy. It was the goal of the community. It was all of these external inputs, Aya, that make us feel like, oh, this is the way I'm supposed to do it. And so what we do, starting with the mindset work, which we talked about yesterday, and then moving into the search and the date and the future, really, we really get granular in figuring out, is that a value you hold, or is that a value that has been placed on you? Is that a value you are carrying for someone else? Is it actually yours? Or is it something that is you're kind of carrying it around, right? Just to give you like a little visual, you're carrying somebody else's value and it's not yours to hold necessarily. And then what would happen if you let it go? What would happen if you realized and got really clear on what are your ultimate values, and whether that, because a lot of times we're looking for shortcuts, and we're talking about this in the rules myth. We are looking for shortcuts. We do it all the time, not just in dating, but in life. So we're like, if this person is a Democrat, then that's a shortcut. They believe what I believe, and we are aligned in this world. We are on the same team. More power to us. And that's kind of a dangerous stance, I would say, because it's a proxy for something else, but it's not. We're not really parsing through what actually all of those elements mean and what actually all of our values are, and realizing that somebody may share our political affiliation or our religion or something else on the surface that connects us, but that doesn't mean that they actually are aligned with you on your values. So as I often do, I answer questions with another question, because really it's about me guiding you to make the choices for yourself that are going to be most in alignment for you. Okay, a couple more questions. Oh, Evan Mark Katz likes the fit today. Okay, thank you, sir. If you guys aren't following, by the way, Evan Mark Katz is a fantastic dating coach and one of my longtime friends and mentors in this business. Thank you. Laura. Okay. Laura is asking a great question. I want to stay safe while dating. What kind of background checking do you suggest for online dating? Okay, I talked about this a little bit before, Laura. I'm all about safety in dating. That is my number one priority for you. Thank you. Ask the NP, also a great resource, somebody who's also been on Dates and Mates before. I'm all about safety, particularly safety for women. That is the most important thing. And I coach men as well. And And when I'm talking to men in my program, I'm like, your number one job is to make a woman feel safe. That's the first thing you need to be. We'll do all the other stuff, all the other tools, but that's the number one thing. So I feel like we have an idea in our head about what is safe and what's not safe. And I still think there's a little bit of stigma around online dating because it's still a little bit of an unknown, right? And we think, well, this person is not like endorsed by someone we know. We're not meeting them from our immediate social circle. And by the way, in the program, we talk about all of the various ways to meet people online and off. And online dating on a dating app, by the way, isn't the only kind of online dating. So when we're meeting a stranger on a dating app, there's a lot of anxiety that comes with that because we don't have any kind of references. Now, I think it's a good idea. I did an episode with Cami Crawford, the co-host of Catfish, talking about this. I think it's a good idea to do a basic Google search. Or if you want to be like real cute, do like a LinkedIn search. It is totally within your right to ask somebody for their full name, just so you say, I like to know who I'm going out with so that I can feel, just feel as comfortable and safe as possible. Right. And anyone who is interested in your safety and making you feel safe, they are going to be like, that's fine if they don't have something to hide. So if anything comes up in a basic Google search that is like Cami talked about, like she Googles first name, last name, mugshot. Like if something comes up for that, you got some splaining to do. All right. But otherwise, I try to just keep it like, basically, is this person a risk? Like, is there a warrant out for their arrest? Is there is there something that, is there a mugshot? Is there something that comes up? Does their picture come up like associated with a different name? Like it's a different picture comes up associated with that name. So just do the basic level search. And we go into this in so much more detail in the program, but this is just this is like the primer. A Google search, yes, as Jules says, Google works great. So does looking up socials. But socials are curated. So, it's not always authentic. Reverse number lookup, that's like second level. And I cover also like the LinkedIn search and all that in the program. But the bottom line, y'all, is that I don't want you to be so afraid to meet someone and so afraid of online dating that you can't just show up and let it unfold. If we do too much research, we get too much information and we're always looking for reasons to say no. Shannon Kaysen's in the house. What's up? You know this, Shannon. We can always find a reason to say no to something, but I want to give you more reasons to say yes. And the reality, we hear all of these horrible stories, but there is a formula, which I cover in my program, of how most of the predators are finding their victims. And there are certain signs that I want to teach you to look out for. And so there is a formula that you can use to kind of mitigate a lot of that risk. But the reality is the risk is actually a lot smaller than the news would make you believe. So that's my spiel on dating safety. I would love to keep going on, but if we've been live here for 40 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up for today and let you know that if you just popped in, please officially join the challenge. Then you'll get all the recordings, you'll get the workbooks, you'll get a digest with time codes so you can go back and watch the videos. And then I will send you a reminder as well for our live stream tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the date itself. That's my favorite part to talk about. And Tina, I'll just answer your question really quick because I can't not answer a question if it's there. Is it safe to let them walk you to your car in the first few dates? Don't want to seem aloof, but want to be safe. Again, a lot of these things require your own discernment. So I don't want to make, like I had before my husband, I had a guy walk me to my car. I felt not safe at all. It was nothing happened, but my spidey senses were going all up. I talk about this also in the program, like how to even tune into your own intuition. Because people are always like, trust your intuition. how can you trust it if you haven't practiced that skill? So we do actually practice that skill of tuning your intuition. My husband also walked me to my car. Things happened. And I'm here 16 years later. So I'd love to talk with you more. If you're interested in the program that I've been talking about as well, go to damonahoffman.com/program. Producer Lindsay's going to pop it up here. We also have dates and mates every week on Tuesdays. The book, F the Fairy Tale, which I usually have sitting here, but it's not, I don't know. Maybe somebody bought it. I don't know. It won't be out until January, but this is your way to get a head start on all of the information there. So Lindsay popped up the link in the chat, damonahoffman.com program. I thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you tomorrow. If you go to damonahoffman.com/challenge, you will be officially registered, and you will get all of the goodies that come with this free 4-day challenge. Thanks so much.